Hey, it's Eamon with ipXchange. We're here at the ipXchange studios for our first IPX tutorial with David from Robustel. So David, what do you do at Robustel?
I'm the Global IoT Solution Architect for Robustel, working on all sorts of interesting IoT products and projects around the world.
Cool, like this one here?
Like the R1520LG, yes.
Cool, so we are going to show you what this universal LoRa gateway looks like when you plug it in. And as you can see, it's already plugged in via Ethernet to Jake's laptop. But yes, here is an interface. David, what is going on?
Good question. So, like all of Robustel's products, there's a very simple, intuitive GUI that you can use. You'll see here we've changed the default IP address from 192.168.0.1, which is common to all Robustel's products. And so we're on 0.30, and this is the main operating system for the R1520LG.
Cool.
LoRa gateway.
So I guess, it's just a case of you plug it in via Ethernet and then
correct.
Type that in Chrome or whatever your favorite browser is, and you're into this. Cool.
Patch lead. Username and password to the right IP address, the usual shenanigans in Windows to either get a DHCP address or put in a fixed one, and away you go.
Cool, so we did a previous video explaining this little guy in full detail, but in a few words, what would you describe as a key use case for this universal gateway?
There's many use cases, but for LoRaWAN in particular at the moment, we're seeing a massive uptake in the building management system market, which kind of correlates to energy, where energy is being used for the obvious reasons that energy has doubled in cost and people want to save their money. Nice.
So I can see there's quite a few things down the left-hand side here. What do you think is the first place that people will need to go to get their kind of system running?
So I think probably the best place to start is generally a gateway needs a connection to the internet, to the outside world. We need to connect to to Robustel's router management platform, and you'll very likely need to connect to an LNS LoRaWAN network server, such as those that are provided by Laureate or TTI. Very popular examples. It can all be done locally, but without further ado, let's just show the WAN interface.
Okay.
So here we have a choice of interfaces: 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, or Ethernet. And you can order them in any way. You can load balance, you can do all sorts of things, but fundamentally most customers are going to use 4G as a primary, or possibly Wi-Fi as primary with 4G backup.
Okay.
I would say they're probably the most likely use cases, but any conceivable way is possible.
Okay. And I can see there's a VPN bit here. So how would you use that in the application?
So it probably wouldn't be used in the most LoRa applications. Security is built in everything that we've described so far. But I know some people choose to use the UDP forwarder for LoRaWAN, and they wrap that in OpenVPN.
Okay.
So OpenVPN is a very common thing that we would use on any of Robustel's gateways.
So what can you see in the interface section of this?
So probably the most important thing in interface, all of the usual settings that you would expect for standard hardware interfaces, but in this section down here, you can configure your SIM cards, and that includes APN settings. So in there would be SIM 1, and in there would be SIM 2. So it runs 2 SIM slots. And whilst the product does automatically choose an APN for mainstream providers, for specialist IoT SIMs, you would generally need to put in the correct APN settings manually.
Okay, and what's bridge here?
The bridge is pretty much just the switch, the Ethernet interface.
Oh, okay. So how would you go about adding yourself to a LoRaWAN network?
So all of the LoRa specific information is in this section, and we've really gone for ease of use. So we can see one of the barriers to adoption for LoRaWAN is the complexity.
Okay.
Setting up a gateway, a sensor, a gateway, a LNS typically in the cloud, a LoRaWAN network server in the cloud, and then outputting application data from that to an application server is a massive. It's very easy to write on an IoT diagram, but it's actually a lot to think about, especially if you include 4G networks and maybe using roaming SIMs as well. So we've really tried to go for ease of use. So you can literally follow the flow here. So LoRa settings, first decision you make, embedded network server or external network server. Nice and simple. If you choose external network server, which many people do, then you just need to choose the packet forwarder that you're going to use to reach the LoRaWAN network server. So it could be the UDP forwarder, it could be basic station, and shortly we'll have a dedicated Laureate adapter.
Okay.
So all the stuff you would expect for an external network server. If you select embedded, then you have another menu, and this in essence is managing the onboard ChirpStack instance. And very simply, you can click there and you can open ChirpStack.
Okay. So what are we seeing here, and how would you show where devices are, etc.?
So the industry standard network server installed directly in the device itself. You can see it's running at 88 on the IP address :8080. So it's really nice. You've got the router OS and the ChirpStack implementation all sitting running as services on the same box. Now, we certainly know there's plenty of ChirpStack experts out there, and they would be able to configure absolutely everything in this view, and that's not a new thing. But what is quite nice is we've taken some of the most important settings from ChirpStack and we put device profiles, gateways and applications, and devices just locally in the operating system. And that one of the implications of that is we can update it from our cloud platform, so you can mass deploy parameters relating to your LoRa sensors and the provisioning in essence.
Cool. Can we see that cloud platform?
We can, but there's just one other quick thing to share before we go on to that. If you use the embedded network server, ChirpStack, there is actually something completely unique to Robustel. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And it's a wonderful amalgamation of LoRaWAN with a ChirpStack server on board and Robustel's existing edge-to-cloud software, which is designed to make customers' lives easy. And the simplest way is to show it. So we can configure reading Modbus devices, so Modbus RTU or Modbus TCP. We can listen for our ChirpStack chirps coming in on LoRa. We pass them up through the broker, the edge-to-cloud broker. That's not MQTT, it's a different type of broker. It doesn't really matter, but the important thing is that you can actually store to flash. So if you lose your 4G connection, you can buffer your Modbus and your LoRaWAN data on board, and then when the connection re-establishes, you can then carry on sending. And that's actually, it's a subtle but really important thing, because LoRaWAN doesn't, in the protocol itself, doesn't lend itself very well to that kind of buffering at the edge. And then once we've passed it out through the broker, you've then got options of MQTT directly into Azure IoT Hub or AWS's IoT environment. And so what we're saying is we can do anything Modbus, anything LoRa, buffered on the device, so data logged, and then pass it into any cloud platform as JSON data, and with zero coding, no software whatsoever.
Madness. So out of interest, how much data can you can you buffer?
So, in this modern generation of product, the Debian-based devices, that's 8 gig of flash, of which we only commit about 1 gigabyte of usage. So, it's a huge potential weeks, months of storage, given that these are relatively small ASCII packets.
Wow. So, can you show us the cloud platform that comes with this router?
Absolutely. So, all of Robustel's devices have a construct called RCMS, Robustel Cloud Management System.
Okay.
It's been going for about 5 years, all based on Microsoft Azure IoT Hub, and it's just getting better and better by the year. And it's a really, really important part of the narrative with the R1520LG gateway. The gateway's a very good piece of hardware, but the new operations console in the cloud platform really allows you to manage estates of gateways at scale.
Okay.
So it's the RCMS environment. You just need to make sure that's enabled to make sure those little MQTT packets are making their way to our cloud platform. And then if we visit rcms-cloud.robustel.net. So this is the cloud platform, as we said, all based in Microsoft Azure. We've got over 100,000 devices online now, all securely hosted. I'd need to use another account. So you see it's all backed off onto Microsoft's Active Directory environment. So lots of positive cyber security connotations from that. And we just put in a password. Ignore all the prompts. Change to the account we want to use. And probably this is the best opening gambit. Let's just reduce that down a little.
So this is what I was waiting for the whole demo, to see that map again.
Yeah. So there are many things in here, but I think the easiest way to give potential R1520LG users just a succinct summary of the cloud platform is to actually show operations console. This is where we take all the data and we distill it down and try and make it really easy to manage. Potentially some of our customers will have thousands of gateways all around the world, and managing estates like that with associated SIM cards at scale is challenging. So lots of the things here, like the data usage, that's a rolling 30 days, the average uptime, that's a rolling 30 days, and there is also an installation section that allows you to see everything that's happened. Everyone loves a good map, so this is cell triangulation based, so you don't have to type anything in. You can see automatically a course location for all your devices. There is a section for provisioning devices, which is very administrative, but it's becoming a big part of the cost of managing these things. The installation section allows you to register installs, manage assets on site. Tech support, the goal here is to put everything that could be useful, such as a diagnostics check, LED, flashing the LED to make sure the installer's at the right site. Easy remote access, just can generate a hyperlink straight in, sending text messages.
Cool.
Running a Wireshark trace, so if there's any application problems with a packet forwarder, and also a speed test to just give you an idea whether available bandwidth is contributing to any issues. The commercial section carries an overview of everything, shows you data usage. Maybe there's a problem with this device, we use too much data on one day. There's a quick and simple view of it. And uptime is another important commercial metric. The device is at 100%, we probably don't need to worry about the ones at 45%. We do. And the icing on the cake, in this view, in the estate log, everything that is happening in your estate that you subscribe to as an event of interest,
Okay.
like online, offline. Someone's changed a SIM card. It's failed over from Wi-Fi to 4G. They just appear there in the log in real time. So making real-time management of hundreds or thousands of gateways infinitely easy.
Nice. So I guess the key difference between the web manager and the cloud management service is the cloud management service where you kind of manage the deployment aspect, and the web manager is where you manage kind of the configuration aspect.
Absolutely, yeah. Cool. So you'd probably set up a device once, and then you would capture the config file, put it onto the platform, and then once you have your config file, you can upload the config, you can view the config, and most importantly, using device templates, you can bulk deploy applications and configuration and configs over the air.
Cool. And in terms of when you're connecting devices to like a single router, which one would you do that in? Would that be in the web manager or the cloud manager, or something above that?
So if we are talking about Modbus devices, we can do everything to do with Modbus point tables and manage that from the cloud, from the top down entirely. Okay. Typically for the Lora side of things, because a lot of the time the data, the config for the sensors actually needs to go into the LoRaWAN network server, you'll typically do that through this interface.
Okay.
But there will be tools, that is V2, there'll be a tool to deploy when you are using the onboard LNS to deploy. Let's just show you. So when you are using the embedded network server, which I think will probably be the minority, but Device Pro or files, gateways, applications, and devices.
Oh, okay. So.
This will be the place where you can add your LoRa sensors.
Cool. So that was Robustel's Universal LoRaWAN Gateway in action. And if you'd like to evaluate this technology, apply through ipXchange.
Hey, yo, where my engineers at?